McCord looking for him deep down the middle. Harrison's got it.
Marvin Harrison Jr. is one of the most decorated wide receivers in Ohio State history.
Third down. Open. Harrison. Marvin Harrison Jr. No chance. Touchdown, Ohio State.
Throughout his career, he has broken records and earned back-to-back honors. His exceptional skills have made him rise to the top in college football at a young age and receives praise from legends like Gus Johnson.
Marvin Harrison with a gain of 13.
But how did it come to this? In this video, we will dive deeper into the receiver who broke college football, Marvin Harrison Jr. Born in 2002 in Philadelphia, Marvin is the son of Pro Football Hall of Fame wide receiver Marvin Harrison. From an early age, he started indulging in sports like football and basketball. However, when he enrolled in high school, football became his passion. And since then, he has continued dominating the game in every aspect. Marvin really started to make his name and generate buzz when he was just a freshman in his high school years. Soon after finishing his freshman year, he transferred to St. Joseph's Preparatory School, the future Ohio State quarterback. At St. Joseph's, he led the team to 3 consecutive state championships. During the same time, he also set the Philadelphia Catholic League record by receiving 2,625 yards and 37 touchdowns. It was then when it became clear that Marvin was not just here to play, but he was an ordinary football player and truly gifted. And this was just the beginning of his career. After graduating high school, Marvin was ranked as the 14th best receiver in the nation and a 4-star prospect. He received offers from Florida, Michigan, Penn State, LSU, Notre Dame, and Texas A&M for college. Regardless of this, his interest clearly seemed to be with Ohio State University. When asked, Marvin said that he had an amazing relationship with Cal McCord, a fellow Buckeyes commit, and said that because of this friendship, the facilities that was also offered at Ohio State and the wide receivers coach, Brian Hartline, he would choose to commit to Ohio State University and make this place his home. In 2021, Harrison Jr. rolled into Ohio State as a freshman behind a packed wide receiver room, including Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, and Jackson Smith-Njigba. In this season, he only had 5 receptions for 68 yards, given the restricted time he got to play. Regardless, a young Harrison Jr. would stay down and know that his time was coming soon. In 2022, Wilson and Olave declared for the NFL draft, and they opened the opportunity for Marvin to play his first college football at the 2022 Rose Bowl game. Although this was his first game of action, Marvin exhibited control on the ground, catching 6 passes for 71 yards and scoring 3 total touchdowns. In the end, Ohio State became victorious, winning 48-45 over Utah. At the Buckeyes season opener against Notre Dame, Harrison caught 5 passes for 76 yards. Shortly after, his teammate Smith would go down and face a serious injury. Marvin will become the Buckeyes' #1 receiver for the remainder of the season. As the top receiver, he set a personal record of catching 7 passes for 184 yards and 3 touchdowns for a win over Arkansas State. The very next week, he won another game over Toledo with 6 catches for 102 yards and 2 touchdowns. Everything around Marvin's football game was falling into place, but unfortunately, he hit a small slump. The first 2 conference games of the season would prove pretty rough for him, but this is the only time he would display subpar performance. In the next matchup against Michigan State, Marvin knew he needed to make some big-time plays to get his name back into the spotlight. He would step up in his game and show why he is one of the most dominant receivers in college football. After scoring 3 touchdowns and catching 7 passes for 132 yards, Marvin was back in full form. And to top it all off, he would break a new record, being the only Ohio State receiver ever to have 3 consecutive 3-touchdown games. Sheesh. But this was not all that Marvin Harrison Jr. had to offer the game of football. In another matchup against Penn State, where the Buckeyes won 44-31, he made another career-breaking record by having 10 receptions and over 185 yards. Although he was riding a high, the next game against Michigan would result in a 45-23 disappointing loss. However, this was Marvin's 6th 100-yard performance game of the season. It would also be the first game that the Buckeyes lost throughout the 2022 season. Regardless of the loss, Ohio State was given the bid to the college football playoff, where they were scheduled to play against Georgia, the defending national champions of the Peach Bowl. The game took off with Harrison being considered one of the most dominant players on the ground. To date, many talk about his infamous matchup against the cornerback Keely Ringo, and it is believed that this matchup was the key to the game. During the first half of the game, Marvin played extraordinarily well, scoring 2 touchdowns and catching 5 passes for 106 yards. Unfortunately, as the third quarter of the game began, Marvin was hit with a concussion after being cracked by Javon Bullard, the safety for the Georgia Bulldogs. He had to leave the game, and this was a major setback for the Ohio State team. After he left, Georgia made a quick comeback from a 35-24 trail to a 42-41 lead, which ended the game in their favor. This loss would be the end of the road for Ohio State this season. Although it was sad news for Ohio State, not so much for Marvin Harrison Jr. He was voted a unanimous All-American and named the Richard Howard Receiver of the Year. At the end of the season, when it was all said and done, Harrison Jr. finished with 1,263 yards and 14 touchdowns. 2022 season really made Marvin stand out from the rest of the players in his class, and everyone knew that he was a force not to be reckoned with moving forward. In 2023, Marvin was seen at the Ohio State Pro Day for the 2023 NFL Draft. He ran routes for C.J. Stroud, the current quarterback for the Houston Texans. Entering the 2023 season, Marvin was widely considered the best receiver in college football to date. He would become the only 2-time All-American receiver in Ohio State history, earning All-American honors in 2022 and 2023. He would also be named the Blitnoff Award winner in 2023 as a junior, and became the second Buckeye to win the honor after Terry Glenn in 1995. As the season came to an end, Marvin caught 67 passes for a total of 1,211 yards, scoring 14 total touchdowns. That year, he was ranked as the 3rd best player nationally as a junior and 10th in receiving yards. According to Ohio State, Marvin Harrison Jr. is the first player in school history to have 2 1,000-yard receiving seasons. This year, he has declared for the 2024 NFL Draft, and it is no surprise that he is considered the #1 player in the entire 2024 class. I mean, he measures at 6'4" and 205 pounds with great speed. As he enters the world of the NFL, there is no doubt that Marvin Harrison Jr. will continue to dominate and reshape how football is played all over the world. The football world will eagerly be waiting to see what he can do at the next level on the big stage in the NFL. Thank you for watching my video. If you want to see the Xavier Worthy effect or how good Drake May is, then click these videos.